Hear that? Sounds like our delivery drone.
I'm on it.
Just, check the box underneath for the toolkit.
I swear to God, Andy, if it's empty again...
That was one time. Trust me, you'll be dicking around with landmines soon enough, Mac.
Good, toolkit's here. See you later, little buddy.
What's that?
Nothing, just, talking to myself.
Okay, little buddy. Sure thing.
Hey, how are you getting on?
Not bad, not bad. Our gear's finally arrived from dispatch. I can start deactivating mines and leftover ordnance now.
Oh, right. And do you do that by hand?
Sure do. Crawl up close, identify it, and then just, disarm the thing.
I'm sure it's more involved than that.
Yeah, well, I may have skipped the part where, it can explode.
The siege of the town? My notes suggest it lasted for 2 weeks. How could that be?
Divine intervention.
Pardon me?
No, just the weather. Got in their way. Weeks of thick cloud cover blanketed the town.
I'm still not sure I follow.
It prevented the army from calling in Cass. Soon as that cleared, though, well, you know about the cluster strike. Gotcha.
I've been meaning to ask, after NATO pulled out, when CSAT stepped in, how did that affect your work?
Day to day? I mean, CoinOps stepped up, but honestly, things are already sliding that way, even with NATO at the helm. For the most part, CSAT were mindful of our activities. Brutal, no doubt, but at least clinical. Whole thing felt like one big PR exercise for them.
Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't IDAP and NATO share some common goals? The training, for example. The laws of armed conflict?
Sorta. It's a tough one, actually. It was important we didn't overstep the mark.
You had to be impartial.
Precisely. In a conflict, we have to remain neutral, a partner to all parties, even those that, personally, we may object to.
You mentioned that IDAP worked with a local mechanic. How did that come about?
Hollywood might call it serendipity, but I don't know. He just saved our ass one time, and then another, and so the story goes. There wasn't much special about his setup, but guy knew the difference between a crankshaft and a tire iron.
He was good at what he did then?
There wasn't much he couldn't fix. Never asked for a receipt, though, if you know what I mean. You were one sneaky little bastard. Now, what were you hiding upstairs? There's an old photograph here. Picture of Alexis and his brother Marcos.
The civilian killed at the church? The landmine, right?
Yeah. Although, honestly, it was a small miracle he'd made it that far.
I mean, you can say that this campaign is like a bottle episode, but it's a very nice one.
Tell me more about Marcos.
Poor guy. He always seemed to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He'd made it through the airstrike, but only to get caught up in the assault that followed right after.
There were still guerrillas in the town, even after the strike.
Mm-hmm. But Oreo Castro, it wasn't just a town. It had become a symbol of the resistance. It was important for both sides, and government forces were making their final push. Alexis had made it out, but his brother? Like I say, Marcos was always shit out of luck. The guy had been waiting at his brother's place. Marcos had been wounded, caught in the leg by shrapnel.
I see. Do you think he went there to talk his brother into leaving, or to join the cause?
Marcos was there to talk his brother down. He was only interested in survival, and that meant getting IDAP at the church.
He remained non-combatant then?
Protected by the Geneva Conventions, Article 51. But you gotta remember, right after the strike, it was total chaos. An hour or two later, the government sent a truck to our camp. Soldiers searched the civilians for hidden weapons.
But they didn't find any?
No, and we'd already checked. It's vital our camps are weapon-free spaces, safe havens.
And Marcus, he must have made it through then.
Yeah, just about. We talked a few times after. I don't know, he seemed different.
I can imagine why. And what did he do after?
Hard to tell, but like I said, he kept looking for his brother.
Of course. And Marcus, his body, is still there in the churchyard?
Yeah. To think he survived all that just to return to the same spot less than a year later.
I mean, thanks for the cheat I made that are really short missions, so I might as well continue.
Nathan, you said that Alexis had been a recruit in the Altis Armed Forces.
Yeah, that's right.
So, his decision to leave the army, to join the guerrillas, do you know how that came about?
It's funny, I asked Marcos the same thing once. He just looked at me and shrugged. Later on, I heard their father had been killed in the Civil War, but I don't know. Whatever his reasons, Marcos seemed to have made peace with the fact he wouldn't change his brother's mind. NATO's been busy. Even managed to clear out a few mines. Special type, too. Very distinctive.
Remnants of the firefight, the one you've been telling me about.
That's right.
And Alexis, he'd been there.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I just met a guy claiming to have known him.
So, this firefight, it was... Just let me check the calendar. 8 days ago?
Yeah. Day of the NATO invasion. After the flashpoint on Stratus, there was chaos. Nobody seemed to know what to do. Finally, NATO got their act together, launched an assault on the Altis mainland.
And CSAT?
Caught off guard by the whole thing. They were there to fight guerrillas, not start World War III. So when CSAT dropped their support, government forces panicked. They were on the back foot. Needed to regroup. Major Gavras was put in charge, but it was a tall order. Gavras tried to fortify their position in the northwest, but it was a risk, and he ended up cut off. The guerrillas, they didn't hesitate, stormed its position, sent the survivors running.
Okay, and if you don't mind me asking, how did you come to hear this?
Costas Dimitriou, a lieutenant, and the major's adjutant. Along with Gavras, the two of them were trying to make it to a helivac.
Move 200 meters. Front.
And it goes boom.
You say they were trying to make it.
Mm-hmm. NATO took it out.
How?
Fast mover. 300 meters. West.
Tank buster. At that point, they had air supremacy. Caught it on the hop.
Did they have another plan?
Not exactly, but they decided to make a stand at the church.
Move to the church. Helicopter. 100 meters. Right.
And the major, what sort of a man was he? Was he respected?
Yeah, I mean, his reputation wasn't bloodied in the Civil War. Gavras was his own man, knew when to follow orders and when to adapt them.
Not the type to violate LOAC, then.
Well, that's a gray area. In the course of the firefight, the Major used a mine dispenser. You can think of it like a portable minefield. This thing throws 14 mines as much as 50 feet, spread out across a wide arc of fire in front of it.
And they're designed to maim rather than kill.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. They can still be lethal. The Major ordered Costas to place mines too.
I mean, are you fucking... Oh, right.
Alexis, alongside a bunch of guerrillas, they were approaching from the north. At the same time, a NATO squad was moving in on their position. They'd been outnumbered 10-1. Like it or not, these mines represented their best, maybe only. To activate the mine dispenser, they could either set a timer or trigger it remotely.
Clear.
They scattered the mines and sat tight, waiting for the enemy. Facing those kind of odds, it was the only thing they could do.
Enemy! Dimitiero! Attack that rifleman! Contact soldier! Target neutralized! Rifleman, 75 meters, back! Rifleman, 75 meters, to the right of us! Dimitiero! Engage that machine gunner, just up ahead! Contact machine gunner! Dimitiero! Fire at that soldier, to the right of us! Contact soldier! Contact rifleman! Contact sniper! Contact man! Soldier, 75 meters, right! Contact man!
he took part.
Yep, we've been in the thick of it.
Contact, rifleman!
Contact, gunner! What's the plan?
Finally miss at the cave. Second helo was in.
Another.
Yeah, it was a risk, sure, but government forces were in free fall and the major was important. They just had to get to a different LZ before reinforcements turned up and cut them off. Man's inhumanity. It's really something.
Oh, he was injured. I thought that he was, dead. Or rather that he was alive, not, maimed. For fuck's sake.
Fast mover, 700 meters, east!
Dimitivo, target that parachute, east.
Parachute, half a click, east!
And now, actually, he's involved in the peace process.
Costas. How did your paths cross? I'm still a little unclear.
Oh, Lieutenant Dimitriou. He came to IDAP, to our camp. The AAF provided us with information on the mines. Guy was a wreck, but his training had kicked in. He documented the minefields. Well, as best he could. But for Marcos, it was already too late. He'd already found one. Poor bastard.
And the wounded? Did Costas have anything to say about them?
Off the record?
Pen's leaving paper.
His name's come up in connection to a war crime. There's allegations he carried out a summary execution.
Okay. You've mentioned Alexis was with the guerrillas. Do you know what became of him?
He was killed. Shot, I think. It's sad, honestly. Both their lives, they ended here. Just a few feet apart. Next to the church where they were probably baptized.
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't sure, but oh well. I mean, I didn't exactly know what happened. And this is how we came to be. Killed by a dispersed landmine. Yeah, gonna make a off and on record.